Sup with it, guys? You got Excellent Name here, back again for my APA draft analysis, and I feel like we did a really good job this time. Probably one of my best drafts that I've actually done, because everything fell into my lap, everything went in my favor. Aside from the first couple rounds, I didn't really get sniped, which is really good to see. So first of all, we have Scolipede. This was a franchise pick from last season. How it worked was that it was a civil war with 3 teams, and the winning team each got to franchise a tier 2 or below, which is insanely broken. I had Scolipede. I decided that was probably the best thing to franchise. I'm not really a huge fan of Scolipede, generally speaking, but there's no denying that it's a really solid mon, especially when you're getting it franchising, which is just such a broken mechanic. It's just letting you get really ahead of the draft. Speed passing is allowed here, so I do have that option, but it's probably not going to be something that I use very often. I much rather have Scolipede just focus on being setup sweeper, which is really good against offensive builds in general, and also hazard stack. It's very reliable at getting up T-spikes and spikes, so I kind of built the team around T-spikes a little bit when I was drafting. I had 4th pick overall in a 24-man draft, so I decided to go with Zygarde for my first pick. The main thing that inspired this pick was that I saw that Mega Pidgeot was in tier 3, which gives 60 points. So I was thinking, okay, well, if I can pair Zygarde with Mega Pidgeot, that's going to be a really solid offensive core, and it's going to give me a lot of points to get some nice broken stuff in tier 1. As you can see, I didn't end up getting the Mega Pidgeot, unfortunately. But Zygarde's really solid. I unfortunately decided to not Z-Crystal this thing, and that's because the main sets that I think I'm going to be using anyway are going to be Choice Banded and more of a bulky setup, where I feel like I can get multiple boosts anyway. The kind of setup 1DD and just Z-move to break through whatever wall is in your way isn't the most reliable thing. It usually is going to get baited out by good plays anyway, and you can usually build a set that better beats those counters without the Z move. If you just run like Leftovers or Papa Berry on a bulkier set, you can just set up on them anyway. So I am losing a little bit there, but yeah, with T-Space support, I'm going to be able to do a really good job of going through its counters. Scolipede also does a really good job of breaking through those grass types as well. So I feel like they synergize very well together. But then next of all, I wanted to get my Steel type, and I also wanted to get this, Tapu Fini. Unfortunately, all the steals that I wanted got sniped, so I decided to get Tapu Fini first. Very versatile Pokemon. This is really helpful because it fills out my water and my fairy typing, and I was kind of struggling to fit a good water type on my plan. I was trying to find a way that I could get Suicune on there, but I just couldn't. So I ended up going with Fini instead of like the Fable or something like that. Fini's very versatile. Mon, it's got a really good speed tier, so it's fast enough to beat a lot of bulk. It's decently strong, so it's really difficult to swap into, because if you're like a fat mon, then you're going to get Nature's Madness, you're going to get taunted, and if you're not a fat mon, then Scald and Moonblast is still doing a pretty big chunk to you. So any opportunity that you can get Fini in is going to be good for your momentum. It also has variety of sets. You can run Scarf and Specs, you can run Bulky Calm Mind, obviously Stormbreaker with Taunt. It's got Defog, which is a big thing for me because I don't have many other defoggers on this team. It does also get dual screens, which is something that I've been known to run before, especially with the terrain helping out the setup sweepers like Zygarde is really nice to have, just those in combination. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Fini. The Misty terrain is obviously sometimes a problem. I don't think I'm allowed to run Telepathy, even though Telepathy Tapu Lele is allowed, but I feel like the terrain is going to help this team more than it hurts. Even though I do have T-Spike support, I feel like I can force in the Pokemon that I want to get poisoned without the terrain being up, with stuff like the Zygarde and the Darmanitan down the line. But anyway, next up I decided to go with Ferrothorn. The 3 steel types that I wanted the most were Jirachi, Heatran, or no item Aegislash. All 3 of those got sniped in the first round, which is not surprising at all in a 24-man thing. I was very lucky to be able to get Ferrothorn though, in the end. And Ferrothorn is tier 2 while the other ones are tier 1, so I probably couldn't have afforded them anyway with my Mega of choice. But yeah, Ferrothorn It's very reliable steel type. It's got fantastic defenses, as you know. It gives me my rocker. It gives me another option for spice, so I'm not forced into running that on the Scolipede. It's not very good offensively in most situations, just because of its kind of like, you know, mediocre attack stat and really bad speed. It's generally not going to be the best move for breaking fairies, but I feel like that's okay because I do have the Scolipede. So I wasn't too worried about getting an offensive steal. I much rather get it for its defensive presence in helping out the Zygarde. But you know, you just know what Ferrothorn does. It's just there to be fat, set up rocks, set up Leech Seed and stuff. You can run like banded sets or curse sets and stuff like that, but that's pretty niche. But next up, I decided to go with Alakazam Mega. Mega Pidgeot got sniped round 2, which was really surprising to me, but I guess it does offer a lot of value, so it's not like super shocking. And the other thing that I wanted was Mega Kangaskhan, but that also did get sniped. Mega Kangaskhan was the thing that I was planning on before I noticed Mega Pidgeot. But thankfully, Mega Zam was still available at this point, which is really solid. It was definitely the best Mega available at that point, other than like Mega Venu, which didn't like really fit with what I was going for. But you know, very fast and strong Pokemon. This is gonna be fantastic against a lot of offense builds. It's going to be really good against a lot of bulkier builds because of Trace as well. It's going to be able to trace those regen things. Just a strong Psychic type is obviously fantastic to have. And you know, it does have its weaknesses. It's weak to Sucker and Pursuit, trapping Pokemon just because of its poor defense stats. But a lot of teams don't have really good Pokemon that do that, just because it is limited as to how many there are. And Zam does have options to beat those sets. I've seen Miracle Eye Psychic run before, shoutouts to AZ. You know, I can play around them pretty well because generally the best ones are going to be beaten by Zygarde as well. Or like outside of Weavile, which doesn't get Sucker Punch, so I can stay in and just click Focus Blast anyway. And it's just going to drop. So yeah, really good speeds here. I can run Modest most of the time, so it's going to be even stronger. Just fantastic Pokemon overall. This is the first time I'm getting a chance to use it in draft, so I'm pretty excited about that. But next up, I decided to get Darmanitan. Just really strong Fire type, another really good Wall Breaker. To help me against the kind of fatter build. It just does so much damage. As long as they don't have like really good water types, this thing's just going to claim kills pretty much whenever it comes in. And you know, I've got ways to beat water types. Even though I do have Ferrothorn as my grass type, I get another grass type down the line. I've got Finny to bait in the water types and get the Nature's Madness damage off, which really helps as well. Belly Drum is also an option that just lets me break through everything in the right matchup. You know, it's going to be mainly running Scarf and Ban just to be a breaker and like a revenge killer, but you know, it's really good at what it does. It's really helpful against those grass types that Zygarde is going to struggle with as well. So you know, it's just very, very solid Pokemon. Once again, I haven't really used this much, but I'm excited to. Next up is more a tried and true tested Pokemon for me. It's Tornadus. You know, really wanted that strong flying type, and Tornadus is just one of my favorites for sure. I did decide to Z this over Zygarde just because I don't hit Hurricanes, so I gotta have the Z move for it. It's very versatile in what I can see. I can use like the Heat Wave to break through some steals, the Sludge Bomb, etc. I've got Taunt, which is priority, so I can beat a lot of stuff that's trying to set up on me or whatever. I can Toxic as well, which is really solid with like a Sub Protect set, honestly. That's something I've done before, Sub Protect with lefties. I can run the physical set with Acrobatics, Bulk Up. I do get Defiant, which is going to be really helpful as well to dissuade defogging on my T-Specs and stuff. So yeah, very solid Pokemon that fits. The biggest issue though that I am seeing is that a lot of my best Pokemon offensively are weak to rocks, and my removal isn't that great. So otherwise, like if rocks are up, then I'm basically just going to be relying on Zygarde to come in and Zam to probably come in with Recover or something. So I decided to pick up Rotom next as my tier 5. I mean, no, it's not necessarily the best defogger, but I do really like it as a Pokemon. Electric Ghost typing is really nice as well. It doesn't have the best stats, but it has good enough stats to deal with some things defensively. Ghost typing obviously spin blocks as well. It can wisp things. It is a really solid pivot with Volt Switch, and Levitate being the ground immunity is really nice to have as well. Because up till this point, Tornadus is not the bulkiest of ground immunities. Yeah, it's pretty decently strong as well. I can run like Specs. I've also got a second dual screen setter that's going to be a little bit, less important to some matchups than Finny, because Finny, I might just want to have Calm Mind Finny with screens, and I can't do that if Finny is my only screen setter. So I've got that second option. I've got T-Wave and Wisp Spam, obviously, like I said before. I can Trick to cripple some walls. It's just that nice pivot with Defog that I wanted. Next up, we get Mesprit. I just wanted some rockers. Originally, I was planning on getting like Seismitoad or Palisand or something like that, which surprisingly lasted really late. I honestly forgot that I had Zam when I picked this up, but I don't think it matters. 2 Psychic types is not that big of a deal. I've rocked worse before, as you'll see in my GPA draft, which has 3. But yeah, this is just such a versatile Pokemon. It's honestly such a steal at tier 4. I feel like all of the Sinnoh, whatever these guys are called, are just really, really fucking good. They're just so versatile. They obviously have really good coverage moves with pretty respectable offensive stats. 105 across the board is super solid. With such great coverage, it's got Healing Wish, it's got Dual Screens, it has Stealth Rocks, it has U-Turn, Trick Room, T-Wave. It's just got so much utility options and so many offensive options. It just does so much for a team at tier 4. It's one of those Pokemon that you can bring to so many matchups, and it's going to be able to do something quite effectively. Very solid Pokemon. Definitely one of my favorites, for sure. If I can find an excuse to get one of these guys on my team, then I probably will draft them at tier 4 every time. It's just such a steal to get them. So yeah, even though it is 2 Psychic types, and even though I don't have a Dark type, I don't think that's the biggest deal in the world. Just because it's not like I'm relying on them defensively. I can feel free to sack Mesprit in a lot of situations anyway, because it is going to be brought in utility matchups more often than not. And I do have Finny and Kangaskhan to kind of deal with it. I did want a Dark type, and I might pick that up down the line if I feel like I'm just getting too destroyed by certain ghosts. But I kind of doubt it. I feel like this is just solid enough anyway. I decided to get Sceptile. Really fun Pokemon. That's the main reason why I wanted it, was just for the fun factor. Unburden is going to synergize really well with the Finny, because I can run Misty Seed to get my immediate Unburden. It has pretty nice stats right off the bat with the special attack. Attack stat isn't as nice, but it does have sword stance, so it is going to be able to get that up to a respectable stat quite quickly. Just blistering fast, even if I don't have Unburden activated yet, it's going to be able to outspeed a lot of things. It's going to be a really good breaker against the water types, which I was previously kind of struggling with Ferrothorn and Rotom being my super effective coverages before. I get stuff like Endeavor, which is really nice on Unburden ones in general. Nature Power is going to be Moonblast coverage, which can catch some people off guard, especially in like maybe if they have like a Bulu or something as well. Not a Bulu, a Koko or something as well, then I can run Nature Power to like counteract something like their Hawlucha. Could be a really good anti-Koko Lucha tech. Although Hawlucha wasn't drafted by the Koko scene this time anyway, so. But yeah, just really good offensive Pokemon, honestly. It just does so much, especially with the Unburden and the already fantastic speed tier. Really fun Pokemon too. I always want to draft this thing, just rarely get the chance. I feel like this thing does best with a Bulu, just because the terrain works best with it, but definitely works quite well with Finny as well. And then finally we pick up the mascot in the end. Naturally, wanted a good normal type, and it was between this and Kecleon, so obviously I had to rep the mascot. Those who are long watchers know what this thing does. It's fantastic Witch Passer. It's got really good bulk with 105, 80, 80. It can take on stuff like Curums even, which is just shocking but true. It's just that good. It's decently strong as well with like power up punch and whatnot, drain punch. It can set up. It's got really strong normal spam with like fake out and whatnot. Generally speaking, it's going to be brought more for the defensive role because it's going to be brought in matchups where I'm feeling weak to ghost types in general. I doubt it's going to really be coming just because I feel like normal spam is super good, just because the rest of my team is already so good that I wouldn't need to. But you never know what happens. I might decide to just bring it for fun, or because it just really is that good of a matchup for offensive Kang, or I might do it to just catch someone off guard. But you know, generally speaking, this thing is going to be more in the defensive role, so it's not necessarily the best defensive normal. I could have picked up Ordino, or something like that for a better Witch Passer, but I definitely like the versatility that this thing offers a lot more than any of the other ones. So overall, I think that I did a really good job with this draft. The biggest weaknesses that I do see are obviously going to be my hazards. Finny being my only removal with Rotom is going to be a bit of a struggle because I'm not going to want to bring Rotom that often, but I am going to want to bring sets that aren't defog on Finny fairly often. But Finny is super reliable as a defogger, and my team, I personally don't, I feel comfortable playing around hazards when they're up anyway. So I don't think it's the biggest deal for me, but also Ferrothorn and Mesprit being my only rockers is a bit of a pain as well. Ferrothorn though, generally speaking, is always going to be happy to run rocks. It's never going to be like, oh, I wish I could run a different set, but I have to run rocks on this. So once again, I don't think it's the biggest weakness in the world to not have the best hazards there. And outside of that, obviously, there's just like a little bit of rock weaknesses in general. But you know, the speeds here are really good. I've got a couple of decent things to fast speed into, like Darmanitan, maybe Kangaskhan, maybe Finny. But yeah, speed pass is once again, like I said, not going to be the main focus of my team when I draft a Scolipede. It's going to be more the T-Spikes, and I think this team really takes advantage of T-Spikes to put a lot of pressure on on defensive walls, while having a lot of good offense killers like Megazan, like Zygarde, and like even Torn and Dam. So yeah, I really like this team. I'm excited to use it and see how we go. Hoping for a really good season, maybe a championship. We'll just have to see how it goes. So anyway, see you guys next time.